What's going on, people? Welcome back to another JSTV show. This evening I've got two dedicated West Ham fans on my channel. Big up to Mick and big up to Big Dave.
How are we,
Cheers,
boys?
John.
How we doing? Hey,
Dave, hey, John. Thanks for having us on, mate.
No problem, no problem. And just let you know as well, Dave is from West Ham Fan TV as well. So share the love to him and also to Mick as well. So guys, if you like the video, like you watch, make sure you hit the like, hit the subscribe button as well. Super chats are open as well. And if you like to become a member, it's just 99p. And big up to John O'Hare yesterday, becoming the latest member. Thank you, John, if you are watching and he's from America. Let's go through the comments as well. Thank you, Leslie. And share to your socials, help this channel grow. Thank you very much indeed for that, Les. And yeah, and to become a member, evening to Gary. And everyone, get your questions in Newcastle West Ham and ready. And let's go on to, let's chat to Gary. And just wait till Alan comes in. Yeah, he's a big wine-up merchant as well. Big up to Davey as well from Scotland. And we have been thinking as well. Hey to Lorraine and hi to Alan as well. He's a wine-up merchant as well. So when it comes to the next manager, if David Moyes does get sacked, Alan's got a suggestion. He should be the next West Ham manager as well. He'll do that later on, I'm sure. Right, we're going to talk about West Ham. We're going to talk about Newcastle as well. But I'll start with you, Dave, about West Ham, because you got absolutely tonked 6-0 at the London Stadium against Arsenal, yeah. And I mean, the fans left at half time and they started well after 15, 20 minutes. But once they considered that first goal, right, the game was done. The game was actually done, Dave. I mean, how did you thought of it? And has this been coming? Because in my opinion, this has been coming for a long time.
Yeah, it has. If you look at results, funny enough, our last Premier League or our last win in any competition was at the Emirates at the end of December. Since then, we failed twice to beat Bristol City, drawn at home to Bournemouth. We drew away at Sheffield United. We've had problems with injuries in terms of at various points over the last month. We rely on our front three of Bowie and Kudus and Paquetá. Paquetá's still out. Kudus has been at the African Cup of Nations. Bowie's had a spell on the sidelines with injury. The problem we've got with Moyes is that because we don't give minutes again. I mean, you can come back to Arsenal. We made 3 subs at 6-0. You know, you lose a game 6-0 to make 3 subs. The players aren't getting the minutes. They're not getting the match sharpness. So when we are men down, but this I mean, that's no excuse. Let's get this right. There was 10 of the 11 players that played on Sunday were our first choice as 11. You know, we only missed Paquetá. If you put Paquetá in for Ben Johnson, that's Moyes' first choice 11. And we've got an absolute hiding. And like you said, we went 1-0 down. The heads dropped. You could see it. You know, the second, third, and fourth goals came bang, bang, bang. That's a capitulation by anybody's definition. And you're right, it has been coming.
Yeah, it has been coming, and I'm not going to lie, because I think the teams have sussed out West Ham, in my opinion. I mean, look, you've got good players there, Nick. I mean, for me, you look at that lineup. I mean, Ben Johnson, I'm not being funny, right, but I'm sure he's going to be a good young player. But for him to play on the left side, when you got Cornet as well, Cornet was on the bench. Why did you use him? And another problem is as well, I've noticed, you're going for a goal, you need a goal, right? And then you take off, I think you must have taken off, he didn't get a striker, didn't get Danny Ings on.
No.
Or Cornet at all. You need a goal. No. Why?
Well, like Dave said, it's been coming.
I think it's been here for a couple of months. We've conceded 4 at Villa. We conceded 5 at Fulham. We conceded 5 at Liverpool. If Bournemouth and Brighton had taken any of the 944 chances we gave them at London Stadium over the last 2 games, we'd have conceded 4 and 5 in those games as well. You know, we're setting up to defend, and we can't defend. We have one way of playing, and we give 70% of the ball to whatever team it is. So be it Sheffield United, be it to Liverpool, be it Newcastle, man, we give the ball to that team on the premise that they're going to take 20, 25 shots and not score, and we're going to take 4 or 5 chances and maybe score 2 goals. That can't continue. It's like, you know, he should. We've got a right back, a backup right back playing in left midfield. We've got 2 centre forwards on the bench and no centre forwards on the pitch. And we're supposed to win a game of football playing like that. I've tried to defend this guy. I think there's been 3 camps. There's been the Moyes in, the Moyes out. And then there was a big segment of us were going, I can't stand him 1 week. And then he reels you back in with a result the following week. And I think that third camp has just gone now after Sunday. I think there is now just Moyes in and Moyes out.
Yeah, it does look good. I think he split the fans as well. My opinion is as well. I think Moyes will be sacked. I think he'll be gone at the end of the season, if not before. He's offered a new 2-year deal. I think it's a 2-year deal there, Dave. And David Sullivan, the owner, is having second thoughts about offering that new deal. For me, in my opinion, if once he won the Europa Conference and in Prague, that's when I think David Moyes should have walked away, in my opinion, because I like David Moyes, but he does not play exciting football. And personally, I wouldn't have him at Newcastle United either. You need to get an attacking manager. Managers out there. I mean, Graham Potter's out there, maybe, number one. I mean, I'm not a West Ham fan, but you need to get a young manager who's going to come in, right, and bring the best out of like the Pekata, the best out of Kudos. I'm going to talk to him as well. I think Kudos is going to be fantastic. I think for me, they sold him a dream, right? But I think they sold him a pub because I think they already. I think they're just killing this game. He's an attacking player and he expects to play attacking football.
Agree.
I just want to touch on something Mick said. Mick made a really good point about there being a third camp with the Moyes in, the Moyes out, and those that he pulled. That it did, we had some good results and we had some bad results, and people responded accordingly to each. If you go back a couple of seasons, Brighton away, there was big calls in, you're getting sacked in the morning. I mean, this is going back 2 years. You don't know what you're doing. Then obviously we got to Europa League semi-finals. We qualify for Europe again. You go to last season, we win the Conference League. We finished 14th in the league in January. We're away at Wolves, I think just after Christmas, and there was, we was approaching a game. I think it was called El Sacco. It was built at the time between Everton and us. I think we come through that. We went to Wolves, but the fans again turned. There was cries, "You don't know what you're doing."
Fulham away, they turned as well, even though we won.
Fulham away, yeah. I mean, we won that. There was a Moyes out banner in the crowd for that one. So I think that element, I agree with Mick. I do think that is now dispersing into predominantly the Moyes out camp. Some of those will naturally go Moyes in. Some of them will always go against the grain. I agree with you. The right time for Moyes to go would have been after the Conference League final.
And he would have left with a legacy, Dave. He would have left with a legacy. And the thing that annoys me is that he could have left with a legacy. He's got no plan B. He's got no plan A at the minute, it seems. This has been rumbling on for about 2 years, like Dave said. It's been rumbling on for 2 years. And pulling results out of the bag and doing well in Europe and semi-final in Europa has covered up a lot of the inadequacies of this man. Everton fans, you talk to them online, they will tell you the same thing. They will tell you the same thing about this man. You'll have a couple of good seasons, but it's a hard watch. You want to go football. When you're paying top dollar to go and watch football, you want to be entertained as well. And when you're giving Bournemouth 73% of the possession in a game, and all due respect to Bournemouth, and they were given the ball, they played. But with all due respect to Bournemouth, you're coming to a stadium that's got 66,000 people in it, expecting that team to win. And when we're giving them the respect like that we would give to Real Madrid or to a top performing Newcastle or to Man City, and we're giving them the same respect, come on. Yeah, he spent over £500 million as well in 4 years. So let's not make that he hasn't spent money. He has.
Let's not forget as well that we played Ben Johnson on the left wing.
He's a backup right back. He's not even a right back. He's a backup right back.
Exactly, a second choice right. But look at the January transfer window. On deadline day, we let Fornals go to Betis. He's hit the ground running there. We let Ben Rama go to Lyon. He's hit the ground running there. Both of them could play left wing. We've learned that Callum Marshall, who's our hottest prospect in the academy. I think at the time he left, he was a top scorer in the Premier League too. We've let him go on loan to West Brom.
He's stifling players now. And I think on Sunday, if you're looking from the outside, you look at Sunday, Dave, and I would say that those players have decided enough is enough. I think laid down tools on Sunday and went, you know what, this isn't working. We've got players here that can score goals. You don't tell me now that there isn't Arsenal fans out there or Newcastle fans that wouldn't want Kudos in their team. Everybody,
No,
like, you know, this is a seriously good footballer that is getting the ball and then trying to throw it into a box where there's no one there because he's not got a centre forward to give it to. It's really anti-football what we're doing at the minute.
Yeah, does look good, doesn't it? I mean, the
No.
next 4 fixtures you've got, talking about that as well for West Ham, you've got Forest away, West Ham against Brentford at home, and then you've got to play Everton at Goodison, and then you've got to play Burnley at home. Those 4 games, in my opinion, Mick, it's going to define your season. I know it's us, it's not us, I'm Newcastle, define your season. Because I tell you what, he needs to pick up a minimum of 10 points from those games.
I agree.
And I tell you what,
if he's down, if those players are down tools though, John, if they've down tools, as I think they have after watching the Sunday, then he's in big trouble. And I think if we lose the Forest game and we lose it like 2 or 3-0 and there's a convincing result, that they need to say, listen, mate, your time is done, and go and get Potter or go and get Mark Noble in for the temporary until the end of the season, who understands what the club's about. Do something different. Something needs to change, because doing the same thing again and again is the first definition of insanity, isn't it? And he does the same thing again and again. And everyone sussed us out now. We're predictable. We're boring. It's a hard watch going over there. You should be going over to enjoy a few pints with the lads, having a beer and all the rest. It's a hard watch going over there at the minute.
Yeah, I've been to West Ham. You saw us there as well, and I think your fans are absolutely amazing. I mean, every time I've been before the game, after the game, I spoke to West Ham fans, and I tell you what, Dave, I mean, your fans are absolutely amazing. There's no airs and grace. He says it how it is, right? And there's no cockiness from your fans' talk whatsoever. You know, you just love to see good football. West Ham pride in good football. There's Billy Bonds, right? John Lyle. Play fantastic football, man. And I tell you what, right? I mean, Tony Cottee, Frank McAvenny, Ray Stewart, Martin Allen, Georgie Paris as well. I mean, look, you got all those players there as well, and open tap football. I look at West Ham now, and you got some quality players like Peketa. You got players like Suchek, when all he does just is CDM, right? And you got some good attack players like Kudas. I like this kid as well, but for me, like he said, he is strifing the squad. I mean, he's just holding them back. I don't understand why David Moyes is holding them back, because for me, he should be allowed them to play football, allowed them to play, man.
He should. It's a very overly cautious approach to football when you're constantly playing. If you're not trying to control the possession, and it will work. I mean, to be fair, we beat Manchester United at home, we beat Arsenal away in the league, we beat Spurs away in the league. If you're going to play teams that want to have the ball, you can have success with it. The problem is the majority of the teams in this league are quite happy for you to have the ball. You know, there's more teams in this league that are fighting to stay in it than there are fighting to win it. So, but to go back, I just want to go back to something you touched on. Obviously, you talked about 10 points from our next four games. We didn't play Burnley last year. They was a championship side. Yeah. Forest beat us 1-0 at the City Grounds. Everton beat us 1-0 at Goodison Park. I think Neil Mopai scored from memory. And Brentford beat us at the London Stadium. So, and that was arguably, obviously, we had Declan Rice then. That team was probably just as good, I think, as this team, given we had an informed Ben Rama. And Bowen was. Dare I say, Mick? I mean, you might disagree. I mean, Bowen had a better season last year than he's had this season. I know he's got his England call up.
I would disagree, Dave. I think he's been good this season. I think he's been quiet the last month, but I don't think he's getting service. I don't think, for a boy that scored 11 goals, he was like up there with the top scorers of natural. He's not a natural centre forward, and I think it was 11 goals or something by Christmas. And whatever's gone on in the last month of January, as you said, couldn't beat Bristol City, couldn't do this. We've done nothing. We don't look like scoring goals. We don't look like we want to attack. There's fear in that team. And I think, when you set up to defend and be pragmatic and then you actually can't do that, what are you offering to the team, to the club, to the fans? And you're just exposing yourself to the 19 other clubs in the league going, this lot here for taking. And I think that's what people think about us at the minute.
Yeah. I think Bowen's problem is he's a right winger.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, I don't know his stats, he's probably about 5'8", 5'9", maybe 5'10" at a push. I mean, he's a player that will get him behind. He's not a player that can hold the ball up. And when you're playing Arsenal and you don't have a player who can hold the ball, you're just going to constantly, Souček's winning flick-ons into nowhere, and we're just constantly, there's a churn over a possession. There's no counter attack.
Yeah, I agree. But it goes back. If you go back to September, October, when the Geordies come down, John, when you lot came down and we went 1-0 up early doors, then you equalised and you went 2-1 in front. And obviously we got the late equaliser. But in between all that, you could have scored 5 or 6, I think. My opinion.
Exactly. I totally agree.
Yeah, so it's been going on. This we're all saying it, and the media finally, I think, after Sunday, have looked at it and gone, okay, maybe West Ham fans do have a point. There's still some going, oh, it's not a Moyes team, it's Moyes this. Be careful what you wish for. Well, Brighton were playing in a stadium with a running track around it and like a caterpillar bush in the corner. Be careful what you wish for. If you don't dream and you don't try and you don't try and achieve, what you just stay doing the same thing. And we've got a big stadium now, the second biggest in the country. Yeah. We've got the facilities to go on and do something. We've got a cup behind us now that, most teams would bite their hands off. I don't care what anyone says about the Conference Cup. Anyone who hasn't won a trophy in a long time is going to bite their hands off to win a trophy and have that day out. We should have pushed on and got the right man in there to push on these players and let the expressive players express themselves. And they're just not at the minute because there's a fear of if I make a mistake, it goes down that end, and they're scared that defence is going to make a mistake because they are not doing their job. The whole thing's a shambles under him at the minute, in my opinion.
Fact, absolute fact. Do you know what I mean? But that's down to the owner as well, the chairman as well. They should have pushed it on as well, but they didn't, and they paid the penalty. Let's go through the comments as well. We're going to come back to it as well. Keep them coming in as well. David Mick, how long is Paquetá out, and do you think he will be at West Ham next season? He's a class player. He's a class player, Alan. For me, I don't think he will. What do you think, guys?
Go on, Dave. You go first, mate.
I'm led to believe, and I'm sure Mick's probably seen the same things I've seen, that there's an £85 million release clause if a Champions League club comes in for him, and Manchester City will link with him quite heavily last summer before the alleged betting allegations came out. So I expect, given that they've either got away or they've been proven not to be true, I suspect Man City will come back in for him, and I think he would thrive at Man City in there.
At this point, he is way too good for us. Like we were privileged. If we've had him for the last two, 3 seasons, we've been privileged. He is such a good footballer. But with the facilities we've got, and if we had someone who was ambitious from the board down and whatnot, we could keep players like this and start pushing. Because this is West Ham to a T. We get something together, and it's been happening since the 60s or 70s. We get something together, we think, go on, and then 3 years later we go, nah, we won't do anymore. We won't add to this. We won't try and push on. It's like we're happy with the status quo. Sullivan sitting up there, the chairman, we're not going down. We're not in any danger of going down. He's happy. We're still in Europe. He's happy. There's nothing going to change until at least the end of the season anyway. And that's a shame because if we got Potter in now and rifled it up again and got those players motivated again, there's still a top 6 push if he wanted it.
Yeah, he's available as well. Potter is still available. And you know what? I think he's taking a current break as well, which I can understand, to be fair, because he's still getting paid off by Chelsea. But that's the reason why he's still in for the right job as it comes along. Let's also know who's David Moyes number 2. What's it? Kevin Nolan. Kevin Nolan.
Yeah, I think it's Kevin Nolan.
Yeah.
Kevin Nolan.
Yeah, he's a good lad. I like him. But I think the whole thing needs needs to be refreshed, doesn't it? It's just gone very stagnant at West Ham.
The thing is, though, we've got, this summer, we've gone and recruited one of the best directors of football in Europe. And if you want proof of that, look at the position that Tim Steidten has left by Leverkusen in Germany. Having recruited Xabi Alonso and having been behind a lot of the signings they've made.
But the difference there, Dave, is that he was allowed to go and get the players and say, this player here, player A, player B, and player C, and Alonso trusted him. Moyes has to have the final say on everything, and no. And there was already kind of rumblings in the summer that they were disagreeing on every single transfer coming through the club in the summer. That's nonsense. If you're going to go and employ this man, let that man go and do his job. Obviously, clearly he's good at it. Look at Leverkusen. He's good at it.
I would let Steidten choose the next manager. Personally, if Tim Steidten says, this is the guy I want, this is the guy I can work with, don't bring a guy in with his pedigree and his track record and not back him. That 100%. Is just madness. If we're just going to continue to let David Moyes run the show, David Moyes style, and we're going to end up in a position with the squad we're in, where we've got 11 first-team players and a plan A that is only effective when those 11 play and there's no backup. I mean, Mick, I know we spent the whole of last season and the first half of this season where Plan B was just Plan A with Said Ben Rahman as a substitute.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing, like the Moyes in brigade will point to his stats as well, Dave. They'll go, well, he's got very good stats in the time that he's been there. Won us a trophy after 45 years, and all. I get all that, but there is something fundamentally wrong within that squad now. I think there's a lack of distrust between the players and him. They're looking at him now and they're going, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure, because you've got three players in Bowen, Paquetá and Kudos who will change games against any club in this country, being told, don't do that. Make sure you track back 10 yards. Make sure you do this. Make sure you do that. Why are you telling Kudos to go that way when the goal is that way? Get that boy on the ball and let him do his thing. Get Paquetá on the ball. Let him express himself and do his thing. Feed Bowen through. You've got options. You've got a striker sitting on the bench with those players. If you were to play the ball into the box in Danny Ings, who will score goals if the ball is inside that 18-yard box. But the role he wants him to play, he will never score goals. And it's just what are you doing like with that player? Like there's so many things wrong.
Yeah,
I just want to say, just to add to that as well, just to go back to that. I host a podcast called Hammers Pod, and we've got a guy there, Richie, who's a superb, brilliant tactical mind.
Yeah,
and he pointed this out, that if you look at our set pieces, at the start of the year, we was having a lot of success because we've got Souček making a run across to the near post, and the ball goes into the back post. But we've not changed it. We never tweak it. And when was the last time, Mick, you see us even win a header from a corner? Because I don't remember one at Arsenal. I don't remember one at Man United. Headers go in. Balls go in from Ward-Prowse and the headers get cleared at the near post, and it just happens week in, week out, game in, game out.
What about Sunday? Even when they scored a goal, you take the centre half, like Ward-Prowse sent it back to Zuma or to Aguerd, got launched down to Souček, who never won the ball, and we give the ball back to Arsenal, and it was just like they just mopped it up. Like you look at Newcastle, say. So Wilson will come on, and you've got things get changed. They have options. They change things. Things aren't working. Like they'll put a winger from left wing to right wing. They change things to ruffle it up a little bit, and you look at it and you go, I see what he's doing. And sometimes it comes off. Sometimes it doesn't. But you see that he's trying to manage the game different. Like this guy just sees the game out now, and he's like, you saw him on that seat on Sunday. He was just sat there. He was like, I don't know what to do. So if you don't know what to do, mate, you shouldn't be there.
Exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, so that is number one, and two, he knows his time's is up, sort of thing. You know what I mean? When he came out of the press conference after the show and after the game, he just didn't know what to do. He just looked ashen. He just looked stressed. He looked a bit, upset, and well, not to say, just didn't know what to do. So, good man, just come out and speak the truth.
Here's the other thing, mate. Like the whole escapade from start to finish, he got it wrong tactically, he got it wrong on the pitch, he got his team selection wrong, and then when even in his post-match interview, he couldn't just go in and go, hands up, we got this badly wrong today. I'm so sorry to the fans. I get why they walked out. First thing he did, I'll take responsibility, but some of the players do as well. Now, yes, they do, but we don't need to hear that. They need to hear that. That is a conversation for them. He needs to show he's representing the club as the manager. Hands up, I got this wrong. This is on me. We will fix this. There was none of that. It was just, shrug of the shoulders. I'll take responsibility. We need to look at ourselves. Apologise to the fans that had to go up and watch that at home to a London rival. Come on, Matt. It's just like, it's just, not good enough.
I agree. I mean, with Steve Bruce's sacking the sim, he didn't apologise when he got beat at all whatsoever.
No,
he didn't.
You can see it.
You can see it. He just doesn't care. I mean, probably Mike Ashley told him, don't worry about the result, win, lose or draw. You know, I mean, you have to apologise, etc. But David Moyes is like that as well. And do you know what? I mean, if he does get sacked by West Ham, is he going to get another job? It'd be very interesting. I'm telling you. He'll probably get a job somewhere. They'll probably take him on, for defence.
The sad thing about it, the sad thing is, sorry to cut across, the sad thing is he could have had a legacy at our football club. He could have, I know he had a bad season in the league last year, and he did win us that trophy. So I don't care what anyone says, it was one of the best days of my life. I'm 45, first trophy I've ever seen us win. So it was unbelievable, like, of any stature. I'm not including playoffs and all that. First proper kind of major trophy. Leave with a legacy. But football managers being football managers, they have that arrogance. Oh, I'll push on and do it again now. Should have gone, mate. You should have seen. If we can see the holes as fans, you should have seen these holes as well and walked. You would have walked with a legacy. He would have been welcome back at that stadium at any time, and now he's probably going to be hounded out.
Doesn't need to do that. He doesn't need to. He could have walked away a legend. I'm afraid to say it's going to be a villain, like you said, guys. And I have to agree with you. Do David Mick, has Moyes got any saying signs to West Ham since they got a new sporting director? To me, I don't think he has. No. I really don't.
No. Go on, Dave, mate.
I think he probably. I get the feeling Ward-Prowse felt like a Moyes signing.
Kudos didn't.
No, Kudus did. Alvarez didn't either. I couldn't imagine Alvarez. I think Ward-Prowse is probably the player Moyes wanted, and then I think Alvarez and Kudus
they've shone. I think Alvarez, he's happy with Alvarez now because he's doing that defensive midfield job. But I don't think that. Well, you could see the reports coming out of the club in the summer. He was like, Tibbs, I was appointing players. No. And Moyes was just like, he was like, no, not having it. Like, come on, mate. Like, it's. Yeah, like you just, as I said, talk to any Everton fan, they'll tell you the same thing. This has been 2 good years, crack hides, like it papers over the cracks, 2 bad years, it's all unreal and whatever. He's got one way of playing football, it's very predictable. We've been found out, and you know, any team that's coming to our stadium at the moment, be it Newcastle United, Manchester City, Liverpool, Burnley, Sheffield United, you get 70% of the possession, up to 20 shots, and we go on the basis that you don't score that, we might score 2 on the 5 chances we get. That's not acceptable, not today.
Yeah, just go back to the signings. I've got a feeling actually Calvin Phillips probably was Moyes signing, and that has been that looks like a disaster in the making.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not being funny. We're not a club. We don't have the riches that Man City do. We can pay £140,000 a week for a player to come in and to be a passenger. And all Phillips did in the 45 minutes he played on Sunday was commit fouls. You know, he was responsible on his debut against Bournemouth for their goal. Well, between him and Zuma, but I mean, Zuma played a poor pass in. Phillips has got to be aware as to what's around him. And that's not to say Calvin Phillips is necessarily a bad player, but he's definitely lacking match sharpness.
I just think we paid £5 million for a player to come on loan, mate, and get match fit to go back to Man City or to go to another club in the summer, hence like a Newcastle or an Aston Villa. That's what I think we've done.
The thing is, we can't afford if he's treated as a full. I think there's £40 million obligation, if you believe that what's going around. We can't afford to pay £40 million, which will be a significant chunk of our summer spending on a player who isn't performing. And the reality is, if he's going to take another 4 or 6 games to get up to speed, then £40 million on a 28-year-old.
Yeah, for me, he's come down. We paid $5 million for the loan fee. He's going to get match fit over the course of this, and then he's going to go to Newcastle or Aston Villa or you know, a Chelsea or somebody, and off he goes, and he'll be gone. And all we've done is paid £5 million to get a player fit for another club.
Yeah,
again, just nonsense.
Exactly. Just want to say this to before we go into the comments, Phil. I haven't forgotten about you. I heard earlier on today because I watched West Ham Fans TV, and this guy called Alex Crow, the midfielder, right? Apparently, right, I don't know how true this is, Dave, you might know this as well, but apparently, right, I don't know if it's true or not, that David Moyes haven't spoke to him, walked past him. Is this true?
Yeah.
Because apparently, he just didn't say a word to him.
He's gone to Union Berlin playing Champions League football. To be fair to Moyes, when he played against Kidderminster in the FA Cup,
shocking,
and he was awful. I mean, I still remember that game for Issa Diop's performance in terms of bad performances, but Crow wasn't far off it. And if you can't do it against the National League North side, and I'll be fair, I mean, I've come on and said about Phillips and match sharpness, and Crow wouldn't have been match sharp, but for a player of his level, it's a National League North side, which Kidderminster were at the time. You really have got to perform better than he did. But I can 100% believe that if you're one of David Moyes' first choice 11, he's your best mate, he's got his arm around you, and he's telling you how great things are. And if you're Maxwell Corday and you spend 90 minutes sat on the bench watching the reserve right back playing your position, I can't imagine David Moyes is having too much by way of friendly chit-chat.
No, I agree with you. He has that. He has his favourites 100%. Souček, I think Souček could go and have an affair with David Moyes' wife, and he'd still be picking him on the Saturday. Like it's ridiculous. Like no matter what that boy does, he's on the pitch. It's just as an example of favouritism, and you know, why not play Cornet on Sunday and have a left winger trying to have the options? Why would you play a backup right back? It just baffles me. It baffles me. But there we are.
I mean, let's not forget if you look at Ben Johnson in 4 games, the last 4 appearances he's had, he's played right back. He came at Sheffield United at centre mid. He played right wing at Old Trafford, and he's played left wing against Arsenal. I mean, Ben Johnson's out of contract in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's probably not going to sign a new contract anyway.
Square pegs, round holes, Dave. That's what it is. Square pegs, round holes, and he's been doing that for 4 years. He's got away with it for 2.5. Got a trophy out of it in the 3rd, and now he's been really found out this season. Square pegs, round holes don't work forever.
Facts, absolute facts. And I think David Moore should have known about that as well.
Yeah,
but still, let's go for some questions as well. Keep them coming in, guys. When Kevin Lawler was a player, he had a good, decent scoring record. Is Moyes listening to his coaching staff asking for it? That's Dave.
I'll just say this is something we spoke about on the pod. Actually, I think it's on Thursday's preview of Forest that's coming out on Thursday morning. But we spoke about Richie in particular has been big on this. That something's wrong behind the scenes. That if you look at the amount of personnel that Moyes has had that has gone, Mark Warburton came and went, Stuart Pearce came and went, Alan Irvine came and went. Yeah. These are all staples of Moyes' coaching staff. You know, we're now on to Nolan. I think Nolan's been there a little while, to be fair, but Heitinger's come in, Billy McKinley's come in.
It's constantly changing.
There's definitely something not right.
Yeah,
that's the problem then, because you're going to keep changing your coaches. The players going to be confused, right? And not only that as well. I mean, it's going to be unstable and it's not going to be settled. So there's got to be a coaching problem there as well. Lorraine, guys, not really familiar with West Ham, but are you missing key players with injuries? Take a big loss. They're not missing. The only player they're missing is Paquetá. That's the only player that I'm missing.
I mean, Lorraine, we had 10 of our first starting 11, or Moyes' first choice players playing on Sunday. This is not. Yes, we had some injuries just after Christmas in and around. This is not an injury crisis at the football club. This is a confidence crisis in the manager now, I think. It's got to the stage where you've got players like Aguerd. I know people say there's a mistake in him at centre-back, but he's a pacey and composed centre-back on the ball. Emerson, they're looking now and they're going, these lads, are like they play for their countries. They're conceding goals that they wouldn't normally concede because I think they're questioning the route we're trying to go down as a football team. We are so obvious and so poor. So it's not an injury crisis thing. It's a confidence crisis in the manager now, in my opinion.
100%. We've got so many players out of form. You know, I mean, obviously we touched on the fact that Bowen's a right winger playing as a centre forward. Kudus hasn't looked the same since he came back from AFCON. If you go through the midfield, Souček's had a bit of a goal scoring run at the start of the season. That's tailed off. Alvarez, to be fair, has been consistent. I would argue probably player of the year if we're going over the course of the season. Ward-Prowse, he's tailed off. Emerson has been fairly consistent, but I think it's probably fair to say that Sunday was his worst game for us.
Yeah, and he's missing Paquetá. Yeah,
he's missing Paquetá.
Big time.
Yeah, he gives him because Paquetá knows how to position. Like Paquetá will come inside and Emerson overlap. Yeah. And at the moment we're playing. Ward-Prowse seems to be drifting out there. I know Ben Johnson, but Ward-Prowse seems to be covered in that position. And Ben Johnson, you know, it's not working because these players don't know. Firstly, where they're meant to be when defending, and secondly, where they're meant to be when attacking. And it is stifling Emerson. Zuma is looking. The injuries have had an effect.
Yeah, his legs are gone.
He's got that. He's got that thing, and I'll say this to you, John. Obviously, Mick will notice. If you know when a player's carrying, they do a little skip. There's a little skip when you've got a limp or so. And Zuma's always doing that. It's noticeable. Aguerd will give you 1 or 2 games where he's like a 7 or 8 out of 10, 8 or 9 out of 10. He can be superb. He'll give you a run of 5 or 6 games where he's a 6, maybe a 7 out of 10. Yeah. And then he'll have 2 games where he just drops off a cliff and he's responsible for goals. And he reminds me a bit of Issa Diop in that respect. I think physically everything's there for him to be a world-class centre-half. But for some reason,
he's nervous now. Though I do think he's nervous with Zuma. Zuma's when he turns on the ball, he's like a cargo ship turning in the middle of the ocean. It takes about 3 weeks. It's ridiculous how slow Zuma's got. His legs are gone, and I think Aguerd is really conscious of this and that there's a mistake in case he doesn't turn with the ball quick enough. And if you put Mavropanos on, the other centre back who comes on, he can't pass the ball. It's always short. So he's bringing teams onto us straight away. So there's a real issue within the defence at the minute. There's a real crisis of confidence at the minute. And I do think it's in what he's trying to instill into them.
and it's now filtering through the whole team. And I think we've got, now it's in the club. People. It's just we're a club in crisis at the minute, and I don't say that lightly, but we are. And unless things change, we will lose some seriously good footballers in the summer if we don't change.
Exactly that. With me, you haven't won a game this year, right? That's a worry. Number one. Number two, you lost a lot of games, and also you just mentioned there that Alcaraz is missing Paquetá big time. When you miss key players like that, then it's just going to go pear-shaped. Ward-Prowse, I'm a big Ward-Prowse fan. I'm not going to lie. I think he's a really good player. If he's going backwards and he's being poor, then that's a problem for Moyes. I mean, he needs to fix up very quickly, man. Otherwise, he's going to lose the players as well. That ain't good. I knew Alan would come with this as well. To make a deal, a little warning for next season, Steve Bruce might be knocking on the door.
Do you know what? He says that.
You said he was a wind-up, John.
Sullivan's appointed him before at Birmingham, and Sullivan does love a British man that he thinks is a safe pair of hands. So, I can see it. I can see if Sullivan's responsible for appointing an Alex manager, Steve Bruce has got Sullivan going for him like a stick of rock.
Yeah.
Would you have him though? Would you have him?
Oh my God!
Chance. No.
You said Alan was a wind-up, John. You did say that before the show.
I did, and there he is. Alan loves to wind people up as well.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I might get a Celtic fan on one day, and I tell you what, he better not mention any former Rangers manager Celtic. Otherwise, my pub will absolutely explode into shrines. But there you go. So excellent. I love Alan the bits, man. But just some about the West End before we go on to Newcastle chat as well. And David Moyes, is he going to stay at the end of the season? Yes or no? And secondly, who would you take as manager?
Dave, you go first, mate.
I don't think he will. I think it's pretty damning as well on David Sullivan that we've got the world's only indecisive billionaire as our owner, because billionaires normally are like, let's make a decision, let's do it now, let's get the money. And with Sullivan, it's like Moyes has been here now for three years. I think he's 4 years. Is it now? Moyes has been at the club. If he doesn't know by now what Moyes is going to give you, and he doesn't know by now if he wants it for the next 2 years, God help us all.
Yeah.
I think he'll be here? Probably not. Who would I want? As I've said, I would be quite happy to go with whoever Tim Steidten wants and trust his judgment, given his track record at Leverkusen. Yeah. And whoever that is, I will back.
Cool.
I will go that I think if we take a Tonkin like 2 or 3, if we get humbled at Nottingham Forest at the weekend, which is a really distinct possibility because they play with like desire and a will to win. They've got a couple of tasty players. It's loud up there. It's intimidating. So if we come out of there losing 2 or 3-0, anything 3 or above, and I think he may actually be gone Saturday, Sunday night. I do think that they'll have to say, listen, we can't keep doing this. Because you've got players like what we've got, losing 3 or 4-0 with the greatest respect to that Nottingham Forest team currently, then something's fundamentally wrong. So I can see him going on Saturday, but I don't see Potter coming in. I would see like a Mark Noble, Kevin Nolan type thing maybe to the end of the season if we got battered at the weekend. Just to get some fight back in the club, get Mark Noble down there, kick some backsides, get some stability and some kind of unity in that dressing room, because at the minute I don't think it's there.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Because the way Forest played against us on Saturday, I tell you what, I mean, they could have got more goals as well.
Some game of football, that.
It's a cracking game of football. But at the end of the day, I mean, we held on and you know what? It's going to be tough for you, but we'll see what happens. So for your sake, you win that game, but good luck to that one as well.
Yeah, we're going to
Exactly. We're going to talk about Newcastle United now for a bit, yeah? And obviously you've been watching them this season. Before we go to Leslie's comment, then you have my condolences if we landed with Bruce. And then just Estes for cure and insomnia. There you go.
We've already got that with boys.
Yes, exactly. I want to talk about Newcastle, right? About Eddie Howe, right? And the first question I want to ask you guys, I'm going to start with Mick. Do you think Eddie Howe, right? I'm Eddie in all day, right? I mean, from outside in, because we've got the richest owners in world football, not richest club in the world, but richest owners. Do you think Eddie Man is still the right man to take Newcastle forward for the long term? Or do you think we should get a bigger name?
Bigger name doesn't guarantee
success though. I mean, like they could say, let's just say, for example, they said, right, Eddie, thanks very much, and got Jose in. The type of football Jose plays would not go down well at St James's. Eddie Howe has brought the club back and unified the club's bond between the fans and the club. He's brought some players in. He's like Jolien Linton, like he's got players playing again with passion. He's kind of, you know, he changes games if he doesn't see that it's working. He's a clever man. He's a humble man. I think he's entitled to at least another year to see what he does. Being the richest club in the world with the new FFP means jack now these days. So he's got restrictions. He can't, like the new manager, I don't know, if Pep Guardiola went in there in the summer, he can't spend the money that he was spending at Man City because of FFP. So be it a big manager or what we call a big name, Worldy or Eddie Howe, they've still got the same wage budget. Those players are playing for him. They believe in what he's doing. Most importantly, the fans believe in him. So, yeah, I think he's brilliant. I'd have loved him at our club. I would have loved him. That's what I can say about him. I love him. I think he's great.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I would love him at West Ham. I think it's very difficult, to be honest, John, because we get fans. I've had this repeatedly on social media. I've had fans telling me, "Oh, you know, this guy's won European football. You know, you're eighth in the league. You're in the knockout rounds of Europe." But of course, if you're not living and breathing your club every day, and you don't watch your club, you know, you watch your club in more scrutiny than I will, and I'll watch West Ham in more scrutiny. I will say, from the outside looking in, I think Eddie Howe's done a phenomenal job. I think if the shoe was on the other foot, if you swap your seasons around, I'll say it that way. If you were 10th in the league at this point last year, and you were currently having the season last year that you had this year, I think obviously there'd be no debate on how you would have looked at last year with that's a good sign of stability, and you'd be looking at this year and thinking like, you know, we're really kicking on. I do think he's been hamstrung by injuries massively. You know, I genuinely believe Alexander Isak on his
like
day.
12 or something, 12 injuries in September or something, 12, 13 of the first team gone.
13 injuries around October, November, December time. I mean, you played 10 games as well with in December, right, with the same team lined up. And I tell you what, it was so tough. It really is so tough. And you know what it is, right? I mean, you know what? I mean, win, lose or draw, we buy with it. And it's sad because we need a Scott death. And I think you got absolutely caught out, really, if you didn't improve on the squad. We knew to play Champions League football as well. We could have got more players coming in before the FFP started as well. But having seen that, I mean, we learned from it now. We've got to move on. We've got to get the season end straight away. We still got Willett to come back. Isak's going to come back soon, hopefully. Joe Linton will be back. He is classy. I tell everyone,
Isak's so good.
Yeah,
so
what's the
good.
player?
But
when he was at the London Stadium, like he scored a couple of goals, he was different gravy. Just quality player.
He is silly. I mean, I tell you what, I mean, I hope we keep him for the next 5 years, Isak, because I tell you what, this guy is going places. If we don't qualify for the Champions League or Europe this season, I'm sure people are going to be after him, but I hope that...
I only think the media will be after him, John. I don't think Newcastle fans will be after him, because what he brought, you know, like, it's a feel-good factor. You hit the crest of a wave last year, hence the Champions League. You hit the crest of a wave, and, you know, all credit to you for doing it. Leicester City, when they won the league, hit the crest of a wave, and that feel-good factor does things to people, be it to the supporters of the football club, the players on the pitch. It does things to people, and once you get that, it's very hard to break. And at the minute, you might be 10th in the league. You've had the injuries that you had. They're coming back now. They're not 10th in the league anymore. They're like, you know, they're going to push up that league and push for that top 6 position. But bear in mind, I think they'll probably take 4th or 5th. They're starting to find a bit of a rhythm again. And there's a feel-good factor. If the club are clever, they shouldn't break that bond, because that bond is between the club, the players, and the manager. It's when you break that wrongly, it can set you back. You break this year, they need to let that ride. If I was in charge of Newcastle, I'd be letting that ride.
Totally agree. You're absolutely right there. I can't really add to that. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, when you get the players back, we're going to do Harry. Let's be real. Big up to Russ, by the way. Big Gooner, by the way. Hope you're well. You must be over in the moon for the 6-0 win. To Mick and Dave, as your mates with a West Ham fan and Stu Lawless, what a character is he? Is brilliant. Lawless.
I obviously know him or meet him when I'm doing the fan cams of West Ham Fan TV. So, Yeah, he's a nice guy. He's an interesting character. He's a nice guy.
I was sat in front of him a couple of weeks ago. He was down there with Nick and that a couple of weeks ago, 3 or 4 rows in front of me. Yeah, interesting character.
I'd love to get him on my show one day. You never know.
Yeah.
Nick and Dave, your thoughts on FFP? Would you scrap it? Go for Dave.
Go on, Dave, mate.
FFP.
I would definitely tweak it. I think the problem with FFP, and let's be honest, it's been bought up or it's been bought in to stop Man City, to stop Newcastle, to stop these things happening, to stop the clubs being bought out. It's effectively put a glass ceiling in place. It means that Roman Abramovich can buy Chelsea, spend obscene amounts of money. I mean, we're going back 20 years, and he was spending £100 million in a transfer window, which in this day and age is probably 500-600 million, maybe.
It's Declan Rice.
Yeah, I mean, it's an obscene amount of money at the time, and obviously now Newcastle can't do that, despite the Saudi owners having the wealth where they could easily go and buy. I don't think you buy the best 11 players in the world in their position, but you could certainly take more gambles on finding the next Isak, the next Tonyali, and those kind of players, and building your squad that way. But yeah, I would tweak it. I think owners should put the money in to prevent bankruptcy, to prevent clubs hitting hardship. If you're going to spend £100 million on a footballer, for example, then in your case, the Saudi PIF should put that money into an account to safeguard Newcastle's future. But that's the only way I think FFP is fair and should be tweaked.
I think it needs tweaking. I think it's wrong to put that glass ceiling, like you said. I think it's wrong, but I also think, the way Man City were just going out and buying every single player, every youth player, it just felt like they were just mopping up the whole current crop of youth across Europe, in England. So there is a tweaking, and if I was a Newcastle fan, I'd be so frustrated because you've just seen this big fella come in, richest club in the world. We're going to do A, B, C, and D. Oh no, you're not. FFP's come in. It needs tweaking because there's always been big clubs and little clubs. There's always been, even in the 60s and 70s, Liverpool and Man United, Celtic and Rangers in the north and whatever, they'd always buy up the best players. Real Madrid and Barcelona, Juventus and AC, they always bought the best players. It's just how it's been. They've, the bigger clubs, bigger income, etc., etc. FFP needs tweaking. I think it's unfair to turn around and say that you have got an X amount of money to spend each summer. This is not American football. You keep within the confines of making sure your club is stable, 100%. And I'm guessing, hence why Everton, is kind of got their points deduction because they spent all this money, but they didn't keep the confines of the club safe, as I read it. Now, that's my real kind of novice financial understanding of it. But as a Newcastle fan, I would be really frustrated in a minute. I think it does need tweaking. Yeah. These fellas are not going to let your club go bankrupt. So, like Dave said, if you spend £150 million on 2 players and there's £150 million in the coffers there to keep the club stable, there should be no reason why you can't, in my opinion.
Yeah, we go spend 70% off the money as well, which is absolutely crazy. But I have to agree with you again, guys. Just keep it, tweak it, but let us spend some money. I have Isak of Arsenal, but we have enough issues of injuries. Ross, you're not having him for a minute. Ross has got another good point. The issues of FFP, as we saw in Jan, that it was the worst window ever. I have to agree. Most Premier League clubs have money but can't spend it. That money isn't filtering down to other clubs in other leagues. You know what? You talk about filtering down to other clubs. You talk about League One, League Two. They need the money. They need that money. They keep it afloat. And I tell you what, I think Premier League haven't covered itself in glory there. Do you know what I mean? Yes, tweak it. Go on, mate.
Do you know what I think should happen, though? I don't think the FA help. They're trying to get rid of replays in the FA Cup. So if, Forest Green get a draw at St James's, get a home to St James's, and they don't get that lucrative replay at St James's, that's bang out of order. Give them that, because that keeps clubs stable. I also think now, where there's so much money in the top league, if West Ham get a Kidderminster like they did the other year, that all the ticket donations, it was at the London Stadium saying there's 50, 60,000 now and whatever. Give the ticket sales to them. Yeah. Give that club the boost. Filter it down. It's going to be of no effect to West Ham United by doing something like that for one day to a club in League Two, the Conference Leagues or whatever you want to call them. There's no impact on them whatsoever in this day and age.
I just want to point out, actually, just on the subject of that of course that was a 5th round game and there was no replay. If there had been replays, Kidderminster would have come back to London Stadium. It was 1-1 after 90 minutes, and
it was a late goal,
we nicked it. The last gasp 90th minute equaliser. I don't know, last gasp 120th.
But
minute.
Who was that team? Tottenham. Tottenham played a team in Merseyside a couple of years ago.
Marine.
Like a
Marine.
And Tottenham come up and they left them I think they left them a cheque for £50,000 to do things to their ground and whatever. And I thought, you know what? Now I'm not a big fan of Tottenham at all. We know where we're close down the road to each other. But I thought, you know what? That was a real class act to do something like that. You go down there, there you go. There's 50 grand to do up your ground or to invest into your club. What's 50 grand to Tottenham Hotspur or to Newcastle or to West Ham? It's nothing.
Exactly. Look after a lot of clubs as well. Just look after them, because I think that the Premier League and the FA haven't thought this through. I think they need to tweak it. I think also as well, let us spend the money to help a lot of clubs as well, and just go from there. Just let us spend the money. It's as simple as that. It's crazy. I feel for our owners at the minute. They can't spend any money, and the Premier League. I think they've done that. I think they've done that.
Yeah.
Just as we have the takeover thing, you know what? We're not going to let Newcastle compete. We're not going to break into the top 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
I feel for you, as I said, I feel sorry for Newcastle fans. You get all this money, and you think, shit, we're going to go and do something. Oh, actually, no, we can't, because they've now put restrictions in place. Tweaking.
Exactly.
I'm not saying there shouldn't be restrictions, but I think it needs tweaking.
Yeah,
could I just add as well, just on the subject of FFP, that I don't think is wrong. Is don't forget a few years ago they brought in the elite player performance plan, EPPP, with the academy things. Now we're at a point where clubs can sell academy players and it's just pure 100% profit on the books. So clubs are now going forward in a position where they can go to other academies. We could, clubs like West Ham can go to pretty much any other academy. Outside, I think the other Cat 1s, I think there might be rules on Cat 1 academies poaching from other Cat 1s. But anyone else, we can go nick their best players for an absolute pittance. And I mean, we're talking 4-5 figure sums, nurture them into players that, just say, for example, you take a player from Leyton Orient or Charlton, probably a good example, League One clubs that are local to us. You can take them at 14, 15, you can develop them. And at 2021, you can sell them back to one of their rivals for maybe £500,000, and you've just banked £500,000 of pure profit.
Mm-hmm.
So we could talk about
for West Ham, because we never play any of our youth players anyway, do we? So
it's mad. That's something we probably could have touched when we're talking about West Ham. It's how criminal. Like, we've got one of the best academies in the country currently. If you look at league tables and
won the double last year,
won the Youth Cup, won the Under-18 League last year. Yeah, and these players are still. At 6-0 down against Arsenal, we got Ollie Scholes on the bench and he still can't get on. But so I don't want to go back to that. But I did want to make the point that I think going forward, that's something that's going to need to be looked at, because that is really going to grow the disparity between rich and poor in terms of the wider pyramid in England.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get that.
I get that as well. Let's go for the comments as well before we'll wrap the show, giving them 5 more minutes. Just keep the comments coming in. I'm just being reason how certain clubs can have $1 billion in debt, but it doesn't impact FFP, and PSR in any way. And that's Leslie. That's a fair shout, Leslie.
I think they're talking about Chelsea there, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. They're in banging trouble as well.
Someone, John, about this, and as I understand it, these long-term 8-year contracts that they're doing is the loophole within it. And Simon Jordan, I think on Talk Sport, was talking about this. There's a loophole in their contracts for the 8 years, but it will come to bite them on the backside further down the line. So they will get done for this at some stage, I'm guessing, but they're just not dealing with the further down the line. As Chelsea do, they're dealing with the here and now, and this is what we're going to do. I think it's something to do with the 8-year contracts, hence the amount of money they spent, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. And tell you what, they got to put a stop to this 8-year contract. It's ridiculous.
Insane.
Insane. I run a club, I run a company. If I need cash to buy stuff, I can inject it. Why can't football clubs? Yes, exactly. 100%. Let them spend the money. I
feel sorry for Newcastle. I feel sorry that FFP has come in the way it has. I feel sorry for Newcastle fans, because you feel like you're going to take the world by storm. Oh no, you're not. You're going to spend the same amount of money as Aston Villa did, as West Ham did.
Yeah.
There needs to be. There is always going to be a hierarchy of clubs that will spend more money than others. But I will say that there obviously needs to be some form of control.
but you can't stifle clubs that aren't going to go bankrupt. You are the richest club in the world. You will not go bankrupt. Like, so, you know, that's the argument for me.
Totally agree. And that should be enough. If we can spend what we want, and that's why we're never going to be in debt.
Yeah.
Come on, just give a bit of leeway, Premier League. Come on,
Yeah,
Richard Masters, you're a disgrace. If you can't do the job, just resign. You are ridiculous. Man City should think themselves lucky 10 years about FFP.
So-
Arsenal play Sutton and basically pay for the new clubhouse as they couldn't be played
Excellent.
at the Emirates. That's
And here, John,
Oh.
if someone had come in and taken over Manchester United,
If it was Arabs that took over Manchester United or Liverpool, do you think those restrictions have been put in place? Do you think Man City, because obviously that's what they've spent in the last 10 years, and Man City doing what they've done over the last 10 years on Man City, but they're still not Man United with the greatest respect, with the legacy that United have, or Liverpool. Do you think that it's because Man City and Newcastle are the richest clubs in the country, not Man United and Liverpool, that these restrictions are in place? I would say that yes, there's an argument towards that.
Yeah, I kind of agree. They won't do anything about it. They just let them carry on. They just let them carry on. Because at the end of the day, they're part of the cartel, the top 6 cartel. Simple as that, yeah?
I agree.
And I'll tell you what as well, all right? The Premier League are the big 6, and they don't want anyone's getting into their way. I'll tell you something now, right? We've got a Champions League last season, this season, right? Or got 4th. They were absolutely peed off. They were peed off because Liverpool did not get into it. You know what I mean? That's why they played 105 minutes of extra time against Villa. And they still couldn't score against them.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Don't think it's not. There's certain things that are there that are just
they like the status quo with certain clubs. That's my opinion on it. Anyway, you look at it and you think, like they don't want people there. It's just I agree.
Just to add as well, I don't think it's good for the future of English football, in the context that if you're going to stifle people that want to come in and invest money, then we're not going to get. Yeah, we're not going to get benevolent, rich owners coming in. You're going to end up with more and more American hedge fund investors, like the Glazers. Like if you look at 777's background at Everton, who are looking to buy the club. If you look at Chelsea and Clearlake, these are hedge funds that are going to come and try and take money out of the club. They're going to try and take profit.
I agree. No business in football.
That's worse for English football if you've got companies trying to make profits off it than it is if you've got people pumping money into the clubs. Because that money, I know agents take money out of the game, but that money goes into other clubs. It trickles down. It does flow through.
Yeah, I agree,
and
mate.
it will, it's going to reach it a lot more than you're going to get. And you've seen it as other people have said in the comments. This transfer window's been, the window's barely opened, does it? It's been pretty nailed shut for most football clubs because they're frightened to spend, and then that money doesn't drop down the pyramid. It didn't drop into the Championship. Championship don't buy players from League One. League One don't buy players from League Two, and the money's just sitting there going stagnant.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. It's going to get worse. And what else I'm going to say as well, Alan as well. I mean, one West Ham player I love watching many moons ago, Billy Barnes. What a player. He was not many players around who like him. But I tell you what, that guy, if he's playing today, I tell you what, he'd be worth absolute millions because he is that good.
I got the tail end of his career as a kid, and he was like
38, 39, and he was still as fit as a fiddle as any player on those pitches. You watch back all the videos.
Yeah.
And as I was going on as a kid on my own on the South Bank with my mates, and he was the manager, he just got it.
Like the people going about Bobby Moore.
He's my number one West Ham boy. Like he got
West Ham. He gets West Ham. He is West Ham. He's just Mr. West Ham, Mr. Billy Buds.
That guy is absolutely amazing. I mean, he defends properly, and his view of the game is second to none. I'm telling you, I tell you what, he was around now. He'll teach these players how to defend. No doubt about it. No, absolutely. He's that good. He'll play for a big club. He'll play for a big Premier League club. I'm telling you. And if you spend what we wanted, other teams wouldn't stand a chance, and there will be no competition. But we should be allowed to spend to build. Lorraine, you're right. Absolutely, because you're not going to be in debt. And
as I said, you will not be in debt. If a club's going to go spend £500 million
and end up in debt, then they should deserve everything that comes their way with regards to penalising and points deduction. If a club's going to spend £500 million and they've got 600 million quid in the bank, crack on, mate. As far as I'm concerned, I think it's really harsh that Newcastle fans saw this big flashing white light going, "Here you go, lads," and then they've gone, "No, we're going to turn it off for a little while." I think it's unfair.
But it's not just been turned off for Newcastle; it's been turned off for every club.
Of course,
because no club can have it going forward.
Yeah,
now.
no, of course.
You know,
and it made for a really boring January, didn't it? Made for a really boring January.
It's ridiculous, man. It's just ridiculous. It's going to be so predictable now. Manchester's going to win the league every single season. Liverpool's going to be challenging. Arsenal's going to be challenging. Spurs going to be challenging. United's going to be challenging as well. Yeah. And you know what? At the end of the day, right? I mean, it's just, man, they was just kind of top eight. It's going to be the Premier League, the world's best league, the best league in the world. I'm not sure. I'm not too sure. It's just the money league. It's the money league. That's all it is. Yeah. I'm sorry, but.
We go on about the Premier League, don't we? Saying, it's this, that, and the other. City win it this year. That's 4 years in a row. That's kind of Celtic Rangers behaviour. And we go on about taking the mickey out of the Scottish League, don't we? And I think, which is I don't like anyway, do people doing that. But you keep going on about Bayern Munich have won it 8 times in a row. Like you're turning it into that kind of, okay, we know who's going to win the league. Who's finishing second? That's boring.
Exactly. Trevor Booking, Gary V. Trevor Booking, another great player. And what about the rumours of Piff looking to buy Roma for 800 mil? They tried to buy Inter Milan once upon a time. Now they're trying to buy Roma. And I guarantee you, if they go and buy Roma, I tell you what, Syria would just say, you know what? Bring in the money. Spend what you want. There'd be no FFP there, I'm telling you. But we'll see what happens on that as well. Do you know what? The Premier League, I think they killed it. They absolutely killed it. Let them spend. Let City spend. Let Liverpool spend. Because the big 6-7 are not going to be in debt. It's as simple as that. But it's if to another time. But they need to look at this in the summer. Because it'll be very interesting how much is going to be spent in the summer. But for me, I don't think it's going to be a record. 800 million was spent in the summer. I don't think that's going to ever going to be broken ever again, unfortunately.
Unless they tweak it. Unless they tweak it.
Yeah, totally agree. Right, we're going to end the show there. It's been an absolute blast. It's nice to collaborate with other fans as well. I mean, I know it's a Newcastle channel first and foremost, but it's nice to get different fans on my channel as well to collab as well. So,
thanks for having us on. It's been great. Thank you so much.
No problem. Don't go away yet. Not going to let you go yet. But
Nick, thank you.
No problem. Great. Where can we find you, Mick, on your socials, man? Where can people find you?
I can't remember my Twitter name. I'll stick it on the chat in a second.
Yeah, sure.
I'm on Facebook as Mick O'Connell, on MickOC78 on Insta. The Twitter one is Michael and then a load of numbers, Dave, isn't it? I can't remember. It's just
40, 30, 14, 81.
Yeah, don't know why it's that. I just picked that as a name. So yeah, I'll get that on there for you. But yeah, I'm happy to follow. I follow all fans of all clubs, and I just like to talk football with people. So
big up, and no arguments as well. Great channel, good chat. Just got in. That's from Tom. Tom, one of my guests on my channel as well. Nice. He speaks facts as well. Big Newcastle fan as well. And Dave, where can we find you on your socials, man? Because you're
I only really use Twitter at official Big Dave. I think I use my my Twitter username as my handle on here. And then we've got Hammers Pod, which should be available on all good and some bad podcast platforms.
Yeah.
And then obviously you can see me fan cams on West Ham Fan TV if you want my instant reaction to our usual debacles.
Which are always quite fun.
It is. I had that Nicky as well. Check out Nicky, Marshy as well. I've seen Marshy as well. Marshy's a great guy.
He's a great bloke. Marshy's a good friend. Yeah, he's a great bloke.
I love that guy to bits, man. And I had on an interview as well. What about Dom? What's happened to Dom?
Oh, Dom's a good friend as well. Dom's he's taken a break from the fan cams to focus on other things.
Good for him. I'd love to get Dom on the channel. I tell you, if I can get Dom on my channel, that'd be amazing. I'd love to get Marshy on. So if I can get Marshy on for the preview in a couple of weeks' time, that'd be even great as well. So I'll try and get him on as well. So that'd be interesting as well. So so there you go. The link's in the title as well. If you want to follow as well, official Big Dave. And also Michael 4030 1481. Thank you so much to Alan. Thank you for Tom, Leslie, Lorraine.
Thank you for all the comments.
Jules,
John, thank you so much for having us, mate.
Yeah.
No problem.
Thank you. It's been good fun.
No problem. Don't go away, guys. And I'll be back on Thursday for a match preview show. And there's going to be plenty of chats as well. We're going to talk about as well Lloyd Kelly and Philip Billion. So I've been linked with Newcastle as well. Are they going to improve us at St James's Park? I've asked the Bournemouth fan that very question. So, guys, like to watch. Thank you for watching our channel tonight. Like, subscribe, and as always,